Hi there, welcome to Being Kind to You, a psychoeducational series. My name is Krista Walsh and I am a fourth year behavioral psychology student at St. Lawrence College. I developed this project as my final thesis as an educational tool aimed to support teens, parents, and teachers due to the increase in body image and eating related challenges faced by teens since the onset of COVID-19 in the Kingston community. A quick disclaimer before we get to this video's main topic. This series is solely for educational purposes. This series is not a therapeutic nor a treatment program, and it only provides a general education on the topic. If you need any support, please reach out to a trusted adult or a professional in your community. Thank you, and let's get to today's video. Hi there. This video is about social media. In this video, we're going to talk about how social media impacts body image and eating behaviors, social media literacy, and then some tips and strategies that we can use to create a healthy relationship with social media. Now, how much time do you spend on social media? Take a minute and think about it, or check on your phone to see the average screen time. Now, studies have shown that in Ontario, the average screen time for adolescents is about 6 hours, and the recommended screen time is 2 hours. So on average, people are on social media 3 times the recommended amount. Why does this matter? Well, although there are benefits to using social media, and it's unrealistic to think that social media will disappear, there are some aspects of social media that may cause harm, and so it's important that we learn about how we want to interact with social media. So in this first section, we're going to talk about social media literacy. Social media literacy is the ability to access and analyze media messages as well as reflect on these media messages. So why is this something that we should learn about or something that we should know? Well, media messages about body shape, size, and appearance can affect the way that we feel about ourselves and our bodies, and it can influence our body image and potentially lead to either positive body image or body dissatisfaction. So it's really important that we kind of learn about how it affects us. And one way that we can protect ourselves and our self-esteem and our body image from social media's narrow definition of beauty is to become critical viewers of the images and the messages that we're surrounded by each day. A lot of the times when we consume social media, we're doing just that. We're just consuming and we're not really thinking further on what we're watching. But when we effectively recognize and analyze that the media influences us, we can remind ourselves that the definition of beauty and success that we've seen on social media doesn't have to define our self-image or our potential. So we're going to talk about some of the key concepts of social media literacy. The first is that all media messages are constructions. So all images and videos and the things that we see on social media are made. They're constructions. They're not reflections of reality. So advertisements, influencer posts, and celebrity posts have all been carefully crafted and are intended to send a specific message or show a specific reality. And as we're going to talk about later, Photoshop and editing software has become so good that oftentimes we're going to be completely unaware if a person's photo or video is edited or the extent to which it's going to be edited. So the next key concept is that most media messages are created to gain profit and or power. So much of the world's media was initially developed as money-making enterprises, such as ads in magazines and commercials on TV, all were made to sell you something. Now, social media has become an international platform where groups of people can attempt to persuade those who use it. And so advertisements and paid collaborations with influencers or celebrities are created to do one thing, which is convince you to buy or support a specific product or service. And to convince you to buy this specific product or service, advertisers and influencers will often construct an emotional experience that looks like reality, or construct a reality that makes you seem that if you buy their product, you'll get that reality, which oftentimes isn't realistic, and again, it's not accurate to real life. And the last concept is that media messages can shape our perception of reality. So media messages can influence our observations and experiences from which we build our personal understanding of the world and how the world works. So if we take a minute and we think about trends that we see on social media and the influence it has around the world, or how we learn new things most of the time now. Most of the time, we aren't watching the daily news on TV anymore. We get our news from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these social media platforms that we consume. And so a lot of times, the things that we're seeing and we're watching are shaping how we see reality. And sometimes if we're not aware of these key concepts, it might influence us in a way that isn't helpful for us. So when we talk about having social media literacy, we are talking about viewing and consuming social media while keeping in mind those 3 key concepts: Firstly, that social media is not a reflection of reality, and much of social media is intended to convince us to buy a product or service. And finally, it can influence us how we see our reality, which may or may not be accurate to how it really is. So in this next section, we're going to talk more about how social media can affect specifically body image and eating habits. So now that we learned some key concepts of social media literacy, let's look a little bit deeper on how social media plays a role in body image and eating habits. So magazines, advertisements, and other forms of media have always tried to influence what the ideal or preferred body looks like. And social media can be another form of harmful messaging that continues patterns within our society that convey unrealistic expectations around body image standards. Social media often objectifies bodies and can shape people's relationship with food, fashion, and fitness under the guise of inspiration. And if we're not consuming media with a critical lens, we might not actually be realizing the effect that it has on us, whether it's our mental health, our self-esteem, or our body image. And so it's important that we also know that more time on social media, specifically looking at appearance-related content such as influencers, celebrities, fitness posts, healthy eating posts, has been linked with greater body image concerns and more troubles with healthy eating habits. And the reason that social media can be so harmful to your body image is that you're exposing yourself to curated and created idealized body types, which can lead to increased comparison. So you can create an unrealistic body image that can cause either body dissatisfaction or just general unhappiness with aspects of your body or your shape or your size due to these comparisons that we're having to others on social media. And again, if we're not being critical or when we're consuming social media, we might not realize that we're internalizing these unrealistic expectations. So we might be unfairly comparing ourselves to those that we see on social media, thinking, why don't I look like my favorite influencer? Or, I'm following all the trends that they're saying to and I still don't look like them, which can be really harmful to ourselves. And so right now there's a popular trend in social media content, particularly on Instagram and TikTok, to post Fitspiration, which are designed to motivate people to exercise and eat healthy. And while this may seem motivating or positive since it's pushing health, it can instead increase unhappiness with aspects of your appearance, your body, your shape, your size, as well as body dissatisfaction, as viewers of these types of contents are typically comparing themselves to these fitness influencers, not realizing that a lot of these times these posts aren't realistic. They're created, they're curated, they're specifically designed to look a certain way. And a lot of the times the people that are putting this messaging out to their followers aren't experts in the field and a lot of times aren't following it themselves. And sometimes even if they're doing it, it's really not healthy for them either. So keeping in mind this critical lens can really help us try to break down these unrealistic expectations. So another big impact of social media is Photoshop editing and posing. As we mentioned earlier, Photoshop editing and all of this has gotten so advanced that a lot of times we might not even realize that things are edited. And so out of all of the images you see and the influencers you follow, there's typically a good chance that they've been edited in some way. Photoshop and filters can show people in their best light, whether that's removing pores, smoothing skin, or editing their body to look a certain way. And this can be really hard to see. Technology has gotten so good that a lot of these filters and editing can look completely natural. And without people posting before and after, you might not even be able to know that there's a difference. So being surrounded by all of these images where you might not know if they've been edited can really distort how we see reality and may raise the bar on what we see as normal. As we mentioned previously in this video, social media messages can create how we perceive reality. So if we're constantly surrounded by these curated and edited images that we don't realize are edited, it might be shaping our reality to see that this is realistic or this is how it should be, when it's really not. So also even editing our own pictures can be harmful. Spending a large amount of time trying to take a perfect photo and then editing it to try and fix how you look can take a toll on your body image, your self-esteem, and your mental health. Portraying yourself on social media using photo modifications and filters creates a distorted sense of self. And when we edit ourselves, we tend to view ourselves as an object rather than see ourselves as a whole person. We'll typically fixate on small aspects of our body, which can increase our self-criticism, and we're going to lose empathy for ourselves. Hi there, Christy here from the Being Kind to You series. I hope these videos help you learn more about body image, social media, and healthy eating habits. So now that we've talked about key concepts of social media literacy and how social media can impact body image and eating habits, let's take some time to look at some strategies for building a healthy relationship with social media. So firstly, social media isn't inherently bad. The point of this video is not to say that social media is evil or that the solution is just to delete all social media off of our phones or our laptops. There are plenty of benefits and positives to using social media. It can help us connect with our friends or our family or find new communities or just learn new things. But, however, it's important that we're aware of how we interact with social media and that we're aware that social media may affect us. As we talked about earlier, social media can have a lot of impacts, and if we're not thinking of it critically, it can really impact us in a negative way, whether that's negative for our mental health, our self-esteem, or our body image. So in this section, we're going to take some time and learn some strategies for how we can build a healthy relationship with social media, where we're more aware of the effect it has on us and what we take from social media. So firstly, thinking about limiting screen time. So the more time we spend consuming media, then the more we're going to be exposed to these body perfect images, and then the more vulnerable we are to compare ourselves to these unrealistic body standards that we're seeing. Again, as we mentioned earlier, social media can influence how we perceive reality. So the more time we spend on it, the more time we're seeing these unrealistic body standards, which might be impacting how we see body standards in a negative way that influences our mental health, our self-esteem, and our body image. So trying to monitor the quantity and quality of your media consumption can be really helpful. So the next strategy is testing the content that we're consuming. So using the media literacy ideas that we discussed earlier in the video to think critically about the content that you consume. And here are some key questions that you can use. So what does this message really mean? What is this message trying to tell me? Why are they sending it? Who created it? And could they or do they profit from it? And how might this affect someone's body acceptance, body image, self-esteem, or mental health? And finally, and what might be the most important one to ask, is how does this message make me feel? So taking time to think about the content we're consuming and how it actually impacts us can be really important because we're all going to be unique and individual, and we all might not have the same reaction to the same content that we're all consuming. So taking time to really learn about how the content you consume affects you can be really helpful to see how your relationship with social media is currently and where there may be areas for change. So the next strategy is mindful social media use. So understanding your purpose when you're using social media and being sure to put your mental health first. And by putting your mental health first, this could mean checking in with yourself before using social media. If you're feeling down, it might be more helpful to try connecting with friends or families or doing an activity like walking or reading than spending time online. Because if we check in with ourselves and we notice our mental health might not be super great at the moment, going on social media and seeing these unrealistic curated images could potentially make it worse. And oftentimes, when we're going on social media, we might be going to look at one thing and then hours later, we're watching video after video on TikTok. So being thoughtful about why you're using social media can really help you have that healthy relationship with social media where you're the one that's in control. And finally, establishing boundaries with social media. As individuals, we can decide the experience that we want to have with social media. We can control our feeds and how we interact with social media. So being selective of the media you consume and choosing media that supports your values and helps build your self-esteem and body confidence and body image can be really helpful. So trying to make sure the media that you're consuming is promoting healthy consumption. And if you notice certain types of media make you feel upset or encourage that self-judgment, it can be helpful to try and limit those topics by blocking the tag, the creator, or clicking not interested if you're on TikTok. If there's accounts that you follow that you're finding are making you upset or more self-critical, it may be time to unfollow, block, or delete them. So these are some helpful strategies and tips that you can use to try and build a healthy relationship with social media. A quick recap of what we talked about in this video. So in this video, we talked about social media literacy and the key concepts of social media literacy. how social media can impact body image and eating habits, and then we went over some general tips for building a healthy relationship with social media. Thanks for watching, and if you want to test yourself on what you learned in this video, take our Kahoot quiz, which is linked below. Thanks, and see you in the next video.